Well, I thought I'd do a follow-up on my last video on the Enclave Act. You know, the state of Utah, in their constitution, it's Article 14, Section 1. And it states, and pretty well quote it verbatim, it states that once this state constitution is adopted by the federal government, all property and institutions of the federal government become the property and institutions of the state of Utah. Now here a few years ago, I think it was 2012, the state of Utah told the federal government they're taking all the property back. That gives you, they're taking control over the property. The property doesn't go anywhere, it's still there. They're going to take control over the property. If there's a lot of these ridiculous interpretations of the Enclave Act and the property clause, the equal footing clause, and I call them ridiculous. If that was, for the sake of argument, let's assume that these ridiculous interpretations are correct, then why in the world would the federal government adopt the state of the Utah Constitution? Okay? They wouldn't. You got the 9th and 10th Amendment, okay? Which, you show me anywhere in there where the states are not allowed their property, okay? The powers that are delegated to Congress are very specific in the Enclave Act. There's 18 of them, 18 spending privileges, and that's it. That's it. And then you got the 9th and 10th Amendment. Why do people persist in wanting to take people's private property from them? Why? Why do people want to take these ranchers' grazing rights and water rights away from them? Why do they want the government to take away the mining rights? You know, they want the BLM and the Forest Service to take everybody's property from them. Okay? Why? I don't get it, because it can do nothing but hurt them also. They've got this romantic vision in their head of pristine forests everywhere in the world, you know, untouched by human hands. That is nonsense. That, first of all, it doesn't exist anywhere. Second of all, if that was the case, well, you know, you wouldn't be living in a house with electricity. You wouldn't be living in a house with running water, indoor plumbing, indoor toilets. You wouldn't be living with your TVs and your cell phones and your cars and all that stuff. You know, if you want everything to pristine, then give up everything you got and go move out in the middle of nowhere with the shirt on your back and try making it. You know, these they're eco-terrorist libtards. You know, they're insane. They're the ones that's endorsing. They're so stupid. They can't get one single thing right. They're the ones that's endorsing this witch, Hillary Clinton. Like she's going to do something good for this country. This lady is the biggest mass murderer since Jezebel. Okay? It just blows my mind. You know, you go down to the store and you buy steaks and, you know, hamburger and whatnot, and you go home and you cook and eat. Where do you think it came from? Or the chickens or whatever. Where do you think it came from? Everything on your table had to be grown somewhere. And it's farmers and ranchers that do that. All right? And now, and if you keep going down this road, if you keep wanting to push this agenda, you know, this new federalism, which isn't federalism at all, where you give the BLM and the Forest Service, and you know, you give them all this power, the EPA all this power, you're going to be left out in the cold. Everybody will be. It is in your best interest. It is in your best interest to look at things the way they really are, not some romantic pseudo interpretation of the Constitution of the United States, you know, and that's another thing about this. It's written in the English language. You get it? It's not subject to interpretation. It's written for an 8th grade level education, which I guess just goes to show how dumbed down Americans are. But they got this attitude, this needle-nosed, jealous, envious attitude of anybody that they think's got something they don't have, or anybody they think is abusing something that they don't have. For example, I love to pick on California because it's full of so many idiots. California, and plus I get a lot of stupid comments from these people. California, they think they own all this public land throughout the West. All these individuals in California, they think they are owners of all this land out west. Never mind the fact that probably they'll never see it. They'll probably never set foot on it. Okay? And when they see a rancher and his cattle out in the field or out on the range, they think that cow is eating something that's theirs. Okay? Oh my God, the cow's eating up my grass. He's stepping on a turtle, which is a whole nother subject. And turtles are far more numerous where you have cattle. Okay, that's just a fact. That's done by independent research. And yet, if you take the federal government's biologists, you come up with something completely different because they lie through their teeth. They have an agenda. All right? Getting back to these needle-nosed, envious, jealous, whatever you want to call them, they're just looking. They're just looking for something to start bitching about and complaining about because their lives are so miserable they don't have a life. They remind me of the big fat bouncer at the strip joint. You know, the guy never has a girlfriend, but he wants to beat up anybody that he thinks gets out of line so he can show how big and tough he is to the girls. That's what they remind me of. You know, insecure people with deep insecurities. Okay? And you see them all the time. You see the way they vote, and it's asinine. Okay, got off the track a little bit there. I talked about prior appropriations. I've talked about preemptive rights. Talked about the Constitution of the state of Utah. All these land, all this property, and that's the thing, all this property in these institutions become the property and institution of the state of Utah. Let me ask you a question. Is land property? Duh. Look it up. State of Utah Constitution, Article 14, Section 1. This property and institutions become the property and institutions of the state of Utah once it becomes a state. Okay? It's right there. It's in black and white. It's as clear as can be. There's no mistaking it. Also, if you go into the state of Utah Constitution, it strictly forbids any armed person or persons working for a corporation in the state of Utah for peacekeeping or law enforcement, anything along those lines. Right? That's what the FBI is. That's what the BLM is. You know, look it up. The BLM is a corporation out of Puerto Rico. Okay? They have no jurisdiction anywhere, and the state of Utah actually specifies that. The FBI is a corporation of the corporate America. Okay? It has no jurisdiction in the state of Utah, specifically by the state of Utah Constitution. Now, this is why there is a petition for the redress of grievances in the state of Utah for the state of Utah to fund the militia, because it's also in the state of Utah Constitution that the state of Utah will fund the militia. All right? And, you know, you get these people come up and they keep saying that the National Guard is the organized militia. First of all, the Utah State Constitution doesn't differentiate between the unorganized and the organized. It just says the militia. okay? But it does say that it needs to be organized as close as possible to the Army, okay, United States Army, all right? Here's the problem with the Utah State Militia, or excuse me, the National Guard. It is politicized. It is politicized to the point it is repugnant to the Constitution of the United States, which the state of the Utah Constitution strictly forbids the militia being repugnant to the Constitution of the United States. They send the National Guard overseas to fight these illegal, unconstitutional, immoral laws. So the Utah National Guard is not, it is repugnant to the Constitution of the United States. Now the unorganized militia there, which is just the people in general, okay, they need to be funded. They need to become organized. And in this petition it said that they will not do anything that is repugnant to the state of Utah Constitution or the United States Constitution. Now, let's say the people get on board with this and they are funded, then we can recruit, we can have an education process, and we will enforce the state of Utah Constitution and the United States Constitution in the state of Utah. All right? That's how important it is. And hopefully people are starting to wake up. We need people to wake up. We've been hammering on this for a long time now, for a good 6 months. When I say we, Captain Carl Koenig and myself, Carl Koenig, Captain Carl is a nickname that was given to him, okay? And myself and others have been working on this for like 6 months. From what I understand, it's going to be before the state legislature in January, and they're going to take it up. And it is before the state legislature. They've seen it. All the sheriffs have seen it. The Supreme Court has seen it. And I mean, it's not a mystery. It's been all over the internet. And we need support. We need support for that in the state of Utah, so that we can protect our farmers and our ranchers. And that is one of the most important things right now, because we have this new BLM law enforcement division headed up by Dan P. Love, the famous or infamous Dan P. Love. Okay, look what he did down there in the Four Corners, Blanding, Utah, the Sting in the Desert. Look that up. That's all Dan P. Love. Look at the Bundy Ranch fiasco. That's Dan P. Love. Okay, and Dan P. Love works real close with Brett Bretzing. Brett Bretzing, look what he did up there and all the things he got caught in up there in Salt Lake City when he was the head of the FBI in the state of Utah. Okay, and look what, and he was responsible for what happened to Lavoy Finicum there in Harney County. You know what? We need to do something about these people. Not just these people, but the institutions which they are representing. Okay, because they are illegal in the state of Utah. So this is why all this is so important, that people actually understand the Constitution of the United States. They actually understand what's happening and the power they actually have. The people have all the power. They are known as the fourth branch of the government. I really call them the first branch of the government, because whatever the people, when they come to a common consensus, whatever they want, they will get. They will get. Now, the people have been dumbed down. Hopefully we can wake them up. It looks like right now that Donald Trump is going to become the President of the United States. And that's an awakening that has taken place. And Donald Trump is doing a great job. He's got to be very, very careful. But people are seeing through this Hillary Clinton mess, this Obama mess that they have created. People are seeing through it, their lies and their deception and their deceit. Now, Hillary Clinton and the Clinton Foundation has been the number one organization in stealing these lands. The Clinton Foundation, along with Uranium One, have been stealing these lands for the uranium. That's what's going on in Oregon. That's what's going on in Utah. That's what's going on all over the West, Wyoming, even Arizona. This Clinton Foundation has been stealing these people, the people's property. All right, even sacred land in Arizona, that reservation with John McCain and Hillary Clinton, they're stealing all that. They're all part of that. Okay, we're getting robbed blind. See, that's the thing about all these libtards that want to save everything pristine. It's not going to ever be saved pristine Because what's going to happen if you go along with Hillary Clinton, if you go along with this interpretation of the Constitution of the United States, that the federal government has control over all land, they're going to steal it all. It's going to be 100 times worse. It's going to be 1,000 times worse than anything that you could possibly imagine right now. All right? So, anyhow, thank you very much.